Jack walked through the quiet alien forest, his boots crunching softly on the red leaves under his feet. The sky above was a strange shade of green, and the air smelled like metal. His rover was broken, again, and he had to fix it before nightfall. The nights on this planet were cold and full of dangerous creatures. Max, his loyal dog, sniffed around the bushes nearby. Max was not an ordinary dog. He had been trained for space missions, smart, fast, and always alert. Jack trusted him more than he trusted most people. Suddenly, Max stopped. His ears perked up. His nose twitched. Then, without warning, Max barked, loud and sharp. Jack froze. Max never barked for no reason. "What is it, boy?" Jack whispered, reaching for his sidearm. Max barked again, louder this time, and then took off running through the trees. "Max, wait!" Jack chased after him, dodging low branches and jumping over glowing roots. His heart pounded in his chest. Something was wrong. Max never acted like this unless there was danger or something very strange. After a short run, Max stopped in a small clearing. He stood still, growling low, his eyes fixed on something on the ground. Jack moved closer and then saw it. There, lying between two rocks, was a body. An alien. It was a soldier from the enemy side. Tall, thin, with gray skin and dark armor. His breathing was weak. One of his arms was twisted. A thick purple liquid, maybe blood, was leaking from a wound in his chest. Jack raised his weapon, pointing it at the alien. But the alien didn't move. Max didn't growl anymore. He whined instead and took a step toward the wounded being. Jack was confused. "Max, what are you doing?" "He's the enemy," Jack said. But Max just looked back at him and wagged his tail slowly like he was saying, "He needs help." Jack walked closer. The alien opened his eyes, bright and glowing with pain. He flinched when he saw Jack, tried to lift his arm but failed. "Don't move," Jack said sharply. "You'll make it worse." The alien didn't reply. He just stared, and then did something Jack didn't expect. He cried, not loudly, but a silent tear rolled from his strange eye. He looked scared, helpless, like a child who was lost. Jack lowered his weapon just a little. Max walked up and sat beside the alien, gently licking his hand. Jack blinked. This wasn't right. Max never trusted anyone so quickly, not even humans sometimes, but here he was, comforting an enemy. Jack knelt beside them. "What happened to you?" he asked softly. "Where's your squad?" The alien made a noise like a whisper, but Jack couldn't understand the words. "Easy. I'm not going to hurt you. Not unless you try something stupid," Jack said. He pulled a small scanner from his belt and checked the alien's vitals. They were bad. Blood loss, broken bones, low body temperature. Without help, he would die in hours. Jack looked around. No sign of an ambush, no traps, just a wounded enemy and a dog who refused to leave his side. Jack sighed deeply. He had every reason to leave the alien here. He was the enemy. There was a war going on. But something about the way Max behaved and the way the alien looked at him made Jack hesitate. "Damn it," Jack muttered. "I must be crazy." He reached into his bag, pulled out a med pack and started patching up the worst of the wounds. As he worked, Max laid down beside them both, eyes watching the forest, ears alert. "Don't make me regret this," Jack said to the alien. The alien slowly nodded as if he understood. Jack looked at Max. "You found him. You trust him. Let's hope you're right." And for the first time that day, Jack felt something strange. He didn't feel like he was helping an enemy. He felt like he was saving someone. The campfire crackled gently as night fell over the alien forest. Cold wind passed through the trees, making strange whistling sounds. Jack sat beside the fire, staring at the wounded alien lying on a thermal blanket. Max the dog was curled up nearby, eyes open, watching everything like a silent guard. Jack didn't sleep. He couldn't. He kept looking at the alien, this supposed enemy, trying to understand why Max had reacted the way he did. Dogs had instincts. They could sense things humans couldn't. And Max didn't sense danger. He sensed something else. Maybe pain, maybe truth. The alien's eyes opened slowly, golden, glowing softly in the dim light. Jack leaned in but kept his weapon within reach. "You awake?" Jack asked. The alien didn't answer, but his eyes locked onto Jack's. Not with hate, with fear. Real fear. The kind Jack had seen in the eyes of young soldiers on their first mission, or in the eyes of wounded survivors. "You don't look like a warrior right now," Jack said. "You look broken." Max sat up and wagged his tail once, then walked over and gently laid his head on the alien's chest. The alien flinched but then relaxed. Jack couldn't believe what he was seeing. "All right, I've had enough," Jack said, standing up. "You better start talking. Who are you? Why are you here? And why aren't you trying to kill me?" "In the you." Alien moved his lips, trying to speak. One word came out, barely audible. "Zorak." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Zorak? That your name?" A slow nod. Jack crouched beside him again. "Zorak, I'm Jack. I'm not here to fight you. But I need to know. Are you alone? Is this some kind of trick?" Zorak struggled, lifted his hand weakly and pointed at a small device hanging around his neck. It was cracked and blinking. Jack grabbed it and examined it. It looked like a communicator or maybe a recorder. "Is this how you got hurt?" Jack asked. "You tried to call for help?" Zorak closed his eyes, then opened them again. He shook his head, slowly, and then pointed to the sky. Jack frowned. "You tried to leave, and they shot you?" No answer. Just sadness in his glowing eyes. Max growled softly, not at Zorak, but toward the woods. Jack turned. Nothing moved. Just shadows. Then he looked back at Zorak and asked the question that had been stuck in his mind from the beginning. "Why didn't you kill me when I got close?" Zorak's lips moved again. This time he said more than one word. It was quiet. Jack leaned in. "No. More death." Jack felt a chill. This wasn't just a soldier. This was someone who had lost everything. Someone who had seen too much war and had given up. "You don't want to fight anymore, do you?" Jack asked. Zorak barely nodded. Max barked once. It wasn't a warning. It was agreement. And for the first time, Jack realized something important. Zorak wasn't the enemy anymore. Maybe he never really was. Jack sat back down, tossing another log into the fire. He looked up at the stars above. Somewhere out there, fleets were still fighting. Generals were still planning. Bombs were still falling. But here, in this quiet forest, a human, a dog, and a dying alien had found something different. A moment of peace. A strange, fragile peace. And Jack wasn't sure what to do with it. But deep inside, he knew one thing for certain. Whatever came next. This was just the beginning. The next morning came quietly. The alien forest was still. No birds, no animals, just wind brushing through the tall, glowing trees. Jack stood near his camp, looking down at Zorak, wounded, weak, and silent. His armor was damaged. His face was pale, but he was still alive. Max sat beside him like a soldier on watch. Jack chewed a protein bar slowly, his eyes never leaving the alien. The thoughts in his mind wouldn't stop. If command finds out, I'm done. Saving the enemy was against every rule in the book. The human military didn't show mercy to aliens, not after what happened on Mars. Zorak should have been left to die. That's what Jack had been taught. But Max didn't care about rules. Max cared about what was right. And that was making Jack question everything. Jack sighed and threw the empty wrapper into the fire. He walked over to his medical kit again and pulled out a stronger dose of painkiller. "This is crazy," he muttered. "Absolutely crazy." He knelt beside Zorak and injected the medicine into his arm. The alien's body twitched. Then slowly his breathing became easier. Jack wiped sweat from Zorak's forehead and leaned back. "All right, buddy," he said. "You live. We both get in trouble. But maybe, just maybe you're worth it." Zorak opened one eye and looked at him, confused like he wasn't sure if this was real. "You saved me," the alien said softly. His voice was strange, like two tones speaking at once. Jack raised an eyebrow. "So, you do speak English?" "Learned in training," Zorak said slowly. "Was told, humans lie, humans kill." Jack chuckled. "Funny, they told me the same thing about you." "Max," barked once, almost like he was laughing too. Zorak coughed, then smiled barely. Jack stared at him for a long moment. "You know, I could still report you. They'd send a gunship in 10 minutes, Jack said." Zorak didn't reply. Jack's voice dropped lower. "But I won't." He stood and looked around the forest again. Something was still bothering him. "Why were you alone out here, Zorak?" he asked. "Alien squads don't move solo." Zorak looked away, shame in his glowing eyes. "I was left behind." "Left behind? Why?" Zorak hesitated. Then he said two words that made Jack pause. "Because truth." Jack narrowed his eyes. "What truth?" Zorak tried to sit up but failed. "There's something hidden, a machine, buried under this land. My people found it. But it's not a weapon. It heals, restores. They wanted to turn it into something else." Jack's heart skipped a beat. "You're telling me your people discovered ancient alien tech here, and they want to corrupt it?" Zorak nodded. "They betrayed me when I tried to stop them." Jack stepped back, thinking fast. If what Zorak said was true, then this planet was more than a battlefield. It was a secret, a big one, and Jack was now part of it. "You realize what this means?" Jack said. "If Command finds out, they'll kill you, and they'll use that tech the same way your people wanted to." Zorak looked into Jack's eyes. "I know." Jack turned to Max, who stood still, ears up, waiting for a command. "Guess we're in this together now," Jack said. He grabbed his pack, tossed it over his shoulder, and helped Zorak to his feet slowly. The alien groaned, but stood with Jack's help. "We'll head to the scanner station on the hill," Jack said. "If that machine is real, I need to see it with my own eyes." Max wagged his tail and ran ahead, leading the way. And so, a human, a wounded alien, and a loyal dog walked into the unknown, toward a secret buried under alien soil. The mission had changed. Jack had made his choice. Now, there was no going back. The climb to the scanner station was slow and painful. Zorak leaned heavily on Jack as they walked up the rocky path. Max led the way, always a few steps ahead, ears up, tail low, sniffing the air. The sun was high, but the light felt cold on this strange alien world. The trees were silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Jack's thoughts were louder than the forest. A healing machine, ancient tech, betrayal. He had heard rumors before, stories about alien ruins hidden deep under battle zones. But no one ever found proof. Now, maybe he was holding the proof with his own hands, and it was bleeding. Finally, they reached the old scanner station. It had been abandoned for months, maybe years, covered in vines, rust on every panel, doors creaking from wind and time. But Jack knew it still had power. It had to. He helped Zorak sit against the wall and opened the control panel. The screen flickered, buzzing softly. "Please don't be dead," Jack whispered. Max barked once. The screen turned green. Jack smiled. "Good boy." As the system booted, up Jack opened a secure map. "All right, let's see what's under our feet." He ran a scan of the area. Terrain layers appeared. Soil, rock, caverns. Then, anomaly detected. Something was buried deep below the surface. Jack zoomed in. The scanner showed a large chamber, unnaturally smooth walls, shaped like a star. In the center, high energy readings. Not radioactive, not explosive, something else. Zorak coughed behind him. That's it, Jack said. It's real. Zorak nodded weakly. It was not made by my kind. Jack turned. Then who made it? Zorak looked at him, his voice low and full of something Jack couldn't name. Fear, maybe. Or reverence. They were here long before us. Before humans. Before my people. A race older than memory. They built machines that could heal. Or destroy. Jack's eyes narrowed. Why didn't anyone tell us about this? Zorak pointed at the device still hanging from his chest. Because they erased the truth. Jack stepped over and took the device. He flipped open the back and found a tiny black crystal. Not military tech, something ancient. What's on this? Jack asked. Zorak whispered. The message. Jack placed the crystal into the scanner station's data port. The screen flashed again. Then a voice began to speak. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien either. It was something else. The voice echoed like wind through metal, deep and hollow, speaking in a forgotten tongue. But the screen translated it. This world is not yours. It was left in peace. If you seek to use the gift, know that the gift can also take. Jack shivered. The gift? He asked. That's what your people are calling the machine? Zorak nodded. They wanted to twist it, to use it in war. I said no, so they shot me down. Jack stared at the screen. The message repeated once, then faded. Silence returned. Jack stood still for a long time. Then he looked at Max, who was growling now, low, ears pointed. Jack turned to the scanner. A new alert had appeared. Motion detected. 5 life forms. Closing, fast. Jack's heart raced. They found us. Zorak struggled to stand. My people, they will kill us both. Jack grabbed his rifle and helped Zorak up. No, he said. Not today. He turned to Max. Go. Hide in the trees. Stay low. Max ran off instantly. Jack looked at Zorak. We're not giving up this secret. Not to them. Not to anyone. Zorak gave a weak smile. Then we fight. Together. As footsteps neared and the scanner lights blinked red, Jack raised his weapon, and for the first time, stood side by side with an alien he once thought was the enemy. Now he was the only one Jack could trust. The jungle around the old scanner station had changed. Birds that were never seen before now circled in the sky. The wind had turned warmer, but it didn't feel safe. It felt like something old was waking up. Jack held his rifle close, scanning the trees as he and Zorak moved deeper into the forest. Max walked ahead, ears alert, nose to the ground. He wasn't barking anymore. That was worse. Max only stayed this quiet when something was truly wrong. Zorak limped beside Jack, leaning on a broken branch like a cane. His strength was returning, but slowly. Still, he wouldn't stop. The entrance is near, Zorak whispered. Buried under roots, forgotten even by my kind. Jack said nothing. His eyes stayed sharp, his mind racing. The voice from the message still echoed in his head. If you seek to use the gift, know that the gift can also take. What did that mean? Finally, Max stopped. He sniffed a strange tree with thick, wide roots that twisted like claws into the dirt. At the center, hidden under moss and old bones, was a black metal hatch. Zorak dropped to one knee. This is it. Jack cleared the debris and touched the hatch. Cold. Very cold. He opened a panel, found a slot that matched the black crystal. Click. The hatch hissed and began to open. A long staircase led down into the darkness. Max whimpered. Zorak spoke softly. Once we go in, we change everything. Jack nodded. We already have. They descended into the shadows. As they moved deeper, glowing lines lit the walls, pale blue symbols that danced like moving water. The air became warmer, thicker. It felt like the place was breathing. At the bottom, they reached a giant door shaped like a star. It opened without touch. The room beyond was massive. A circular chamber, perfectly smooth, walls glowing faintly. In the center stood the machine. It wasn't a weapon. It looked like a tree made of crystal and light. Its roots were metal cables, its branches floating in the air. At its heart was a pulsing core like a slow heartbeat. Jack stepped forward slowly. "What is this?" Zorak was silent. His eyes were full of awe. "The gift." Jack moved closer. Symbols appeared on the floor beneath him. The machine reacted to him, glowing brighter. Then a soft voice filled the air. "One carries damage. One carries choice. One carries hope." Jack froze. "Did you hear that?" Zorak nodded. "The machine is aware." Jack looked down at Max, who stood beside him, ears flat, body tense, but not afraid. The machine lowered one of its crystal limbs toward Zorak. Blue light wrapped around the alien's body. Zorak gasped. His wounds closed. His skin turned bright and smooth. His breathing deepened. The pain was gone. Jack stepped back. "It healed you." Zorak touched his chest, stunned. "Fully." Jack looked at the machine. "Why? Why help us?" Another voice answered, this time in English. "You did not come to take, you came to see." Jack's heart raced. This machine wasn't just alive, it was intelligent. But before he could say more, the chamber shook. Alarms blared from Jack's wrist device. Multiple life forms approaching. Armed. Human and alien both. Zorak turned to Jack, eyes wide. "They found us." Jack clenched his fists. "We're not letting them touch this." The machine pulsed again. "All that come to take shall be judged." Jack raised his weapon. Max growled louder than ever. Zorak stood tall now, stronger than before. They weren't just visitors anymore. They were protectors. And above them, the surface shook as enemies closed in, both human and alien. But below, the gift waited to reveal its final purpose. And no one, not army, not empire, would be ready for what came next. The ground above rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling of the ancient chamber as the machine pulsed louder, like it could feel the danger coming. Jack raised his head, jaw tight, rifle in hand. "They're here," he said quietly. Zorak stood beside him, fully healed now, eyes glowing. "We have little time." Jack turned to Max, who had taken position near the entrance. The dog's fur was standing up. He growled softly, a low warning. He could hear them long before the scanners could. Jack activated his wrist screen. 12 heat signatures. Fast. Heavy armor. Human. Alien. Both. Zorak's voice was grim. "They've joined forces to take it." Jack gave a bitter smile. "Of course they have. Nothing brings enemies together like greed." The machine glowed brighter behind them. It spoke again, this time louder, clearer. Protection protocol. Active. Panels slid open around the chamber. Walls shifted. From the floor, strange floating drones emerged like glowing metal insects. They moved to Jack and Zorak and hovered silently. Then, one by one, they connected to their weapons. New energy flooded their rifles. Armor strengthened. Reflexes sharpened. Jack blinked. Did it just upgrade us? Zorak grinned. The gift chooses who it trusts. The chamber doors opened with a hiss. Footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Max growled louder now, crouching low. The first attackers appeared. 2 human soldiers in black armor, visors glowing red. Behind them, 3 tall alien warriors, weapons raised. They didn't speak. They opened fire. Jack rolled left, Zorak right. Beams of red and white light shot past them. Max darted behind a pillar and barked sharply, a signal. Jack returned fire, his weapon now glowing with strange blue energy. The shot hit one soldier and sent him flying into the wall. Holy, it's stronger, Jack shouted. Zorak moved like lightning. His rifle wasn't even from Earth, but now it burned through alien armor like it was paper. 2 enemies dropped fast. More came. 10 more soldiers. Max charged and bit into one alien's leg, dragging him down. Jack tossed a flash grenade, covering the dog's retreat. The room shook again as one of the attackers fired a missile, but before it could hit, the gift pulsed and absorbed the blast mid-air. Zorak stared at it in shock. It's protecting itself. Jack ducked behind cover. It's protecting us. Suddenly, from behind the attackers, a new figure stepped forward, a high-ranking human officer, General Kellen. Jack's eyes narrowed. He knew that man. Kellen raised a megaphone. Jack Harper, step away from the artifact. You're under arrest for aiding an alien and disobeying intergalactic law. Jack laughed bitterly. You're late, General, and you brought the wrong army. You don't understand what this machine is, Kellen shouted. We can use it. End this war. Win everything. Zorak stood tall. That's what they said. That's why I was shot down. Jack raised his weapon. We're not giving it to anyone. Not you. Not your alien friends. The gift pulsed again. This time stronger. Everyone froze as a shockwave pushed through the room. Soldiers stumbled back. The gift spoke once more. Take no more, or be taken. Suddenly, light burst from the floor beneath the attackers. Energy wrapped around them, lifting them off the ground. Jack shielded his eyes. When the light faded, the soldiers were gone. Kellen, gone. The tunnel was empty. Zorak was stunned. It didn't kill them. Jack looked at the gift. It removed them. The chamber was quiet again. Max returned to Jack's side, panting but unharmed. Jack put his rifle down slowly. We didn't win a fight. The gift made a choice. Zorak placed his hand on the tree-like machine. It doesn't want to be used. It wants to be protected. Jack nodded. They weren't soldiers anymore. They were guardians now. The forest was quiet again. Sunlight broke through the clouds, casting a soft glow on the ancient ground. Birds returned to the trees. Wind danced gently through the leaves. It was as if the world had taken a deep breath, and finally exhaled. Jack stood outside the hidden chamber. The ancient door had sealed itself behind them. No one else could enter now, not unless the gift allowed it. Beside him, Zorak adjusted the strap of his pack. He looked different now. No longer a wounded enemy, but a warrior reborn. His eyes still glowed, but now they held calm instead of pain. And Max? Max sat in the grass, watching butterflies float in the air like nothing had ever happened. His ears twitched, his tail thumped. He was the only one who had seen the truth from the very start. Jack knelt beside him. You knew, didn't you, buddy? You knew he wasn't just an enemy. Max gave a soft bark and licked Jack's face. Zorak stepped forward, voice calm. It's over, for now. Jack nodded. Yeah, but it's not the end. He turned to Bao. Look at the sky. They'll come back, maybe not today, maybe not even next year, but humans, aliens, someone will want that machine again. Zorak placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. Then we stop them. Jack smiled. Together? Zorak nodded. Together. Silence passed between them, but it wasn't empty. It was full of understanding. Enemies had become allies. Strangers had become brothers. The gift had not just healed wounds of the body, but something deeper. Back at the scanner station, Jack sent a coded message to Earth. Artifact secure. Location. Classified. Former enemy is now ally. If you want to destroy what heals, you'll have to come through us. He ended the message and shut the terminal. Zorak looked at him. You know what that message means? Jack stood. Yeah, it means we're wanted men. It means war might come again. Zorak smiled faintly. Then we prepare. Max barked once, like he agreed. Together, the three of them left the ruins and walked into the jungle, toward a future no one had planned. They weren't soldiers anymore. They weren't just survivors. They were the first line of defense for a power the galaxy wasn't ready for. But maybe, just maybe, They were exactly what the galaxy needed. A man, a dog, and an alien, who once was the enemy, now united by something greater than war. Hope.